we produced a documentary for HBO about war dogs, and that brought us into a whole community of Army Rangers and their dogs that they work with in the Special Forces, and we kind of fell in love with these guys and their dogs. And when we finished the movie, we knew we wanted to kind of keep telling a story in this world. And then Chan lost his dog, and that kind of spawned a connection between something personal and this experience we had just gone through.
Yeah, I mean, and I was at the time that I lost my dog, I was going through a pretty tough time in just in life, or it was just really complex, and I was losing my best friend during it. And you know, we went through a bunch of different machinations of kind of telling that story, that bond, that thing. What is it between, you know, a man and a dog, or a woman and a dog, really a human and a dog? That's a really old thing. And then when we really started to examine these soldiers that, you know, they've been very conditioned and taught to compartmentalize their emotions, to compartmentalize their connection with the world at large that didn't experience what they experienced, you know, in their lives. And you know, they probably even came into the military a little bit almost conditioned to do that anyways. They might be kind of special in that way. But the Rangers are, you know, they're not just normal in military. They're doing very specialized things. And you know, and then once it's really fascinating. They have these walls up and these things that they don't really let people in on. And then but a dog can come in to the room and turn these like hardened soldiers into these like little lovey puppy dog sort of loving guys, and it sort of unlocked them.
When we connected all these dots of these experiences we've had in life, we always drew them back to wanting to make a road movie, and they're just our favorite kinds of movies. Mostly because they're full of heart and humor. They make you laugh, and generally speaking, they make you feel something, and they expose you to new ideas and places and wild characters, and so we decided to set this movie on that type of canvas, and hoped that that was a way to bring people into this world that was, you know, this world of Special Forces soldiers and their dogs. That's very insular and foreign to most people. We didn't want to make a war movie. We didn't want to make a movie that was sad and dark and about broken people. We wanted it to make it about these guys who we got to know and become friends with, who are just really alive, and these dogs who are equally, if not more, kind of alive and vibrant. So we wanted to kind of bring it out of the military and into this world of the road.
Yeah, we talked a lot about tone in the beginning, and like we didn't want to make a sad soldier movie, and that was, I think, one of the first things that we kind of looked at each other and said. We were like, we're not making a sad soldier movie. You know, every soldier movie somehow this like really dark thing, and like, you know, there is darkness there, but there's also like the guys that we know are so funny and so alive.
They both have wired themselves to be the most hard-charging, never give up soldiers on the face of the planet. And by the end of the film, they both find themselves surrendering to each other and surrendering to a new way of life that's transitioning out of war and into civilian life and more peace. And so we liked that the whole story was sort of focused on that journey of surrender. We really, in the movie, wanted to photograph dogs in a way that most dog movies don't. We really wanted to not only make the dog a main character in the film emotionally, but also in dog movies, you typically, the way you see an animal is like you cut to basically an insert shot, and there's a trainer right off camera doing something, so the dog does a specific behavior, and then you cut back to the action. And the way we really wanted to do it was to try to do as much as possible in wide shots where the dog had learned behavior and could interact with Chan in a more complex way, which is hard to do when you're on a short schedule and just hard to do in general with dogs. And it's always a challenge working with animals, but our trainers were so incredible, and Chan spent months and months working with these dogs every day that I think we're able to achieve a level of realism that most animal movies don't. Well, we had a handful of real Rangers from our documentary and a few other guys that they were connected to and brought into our world on set for every single one of the scenes that we did at the Ranger base, Fort Lewis in Washington, and then at the Ranger funeral at the bar in what's called Pat Barry's outside the base. And then again at the Riley's funeral in the desert, we had an actual military color guard and advisors there. So yeah, wherever possible, we included real folks in this whole process. And the Rangers were incredible. I mean, they literally came in and helped build every last detail of our set on base, of the bar. Like they were really in charge of every creative decision of how the production design looked in those worlds. So.
Yeah, and it's really specific in these worlds, right? Like these guys live in those worlds. Like some of the.
Yeah, it means everything to them.
Yeah, I mean, and in every.
Down to like the last detail on a uniform.
Yeah, or like, why is that weapon in this room? It doesn't make any sense for this weapon to be. And there's like, well, why would it be there? It's kind of what we have. And they'd be like, well, someone would be stripping it and cleaning it. And we're like, great. Like I didn't even think of that. Yeah, let's do it.